The bear and the salmon, the raven and the frog, the eagle, the beaver. We're handcrafting 4 stories for you today on Go Island. On today's show, the importance of pollination inspires a Salt Spring woman to protect the bees. A public art piece turns photos into music. And the restoration of 4 Coast Salish stories. All that and more on Go Island.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network.
Hello, welcome to Go Island. I'm Jen Muranetz and we're here at Thrifty Foods Central Saanich location and we're unveiling 4 beautiful newly restored stories today, and I'm joined with the president of Thrifty Foods, Jim. Now, Jim, can you tell me what we're going to be doing here today?
Well, today we're going to be celebrating the rededication of these beautiful totems out in front of our Central Saanich store. They were originally carved 15 years ago, and we renovated the store a year ago, so now it's time to give them a spruce up as well, and we're really excited about unveiling them today.
Now, these poles have been here since the beginning of the store, and it's so wonderful that you guys have decided to include them in the restoration. What was the process of getting this restoration set up?
Well, the original artist was a gentleman named Charles Elliott. So step 1 was contacting Charles to see if he'd be willing to refurbish the poles, and he did. So him and his team have spent about the last 3.5 months reworking, recarving, repainting these poles, and they're really beautiful.
And what do these stories and these poles, these house posts, mean to you and to Thrifty Foods?
Well, you know, Thrifty Foods, we've got great staff, we have wonderful customers, and we're so fortunate to be in these great communities. And you know, it's very important to us to stay connected to the community, and what's more important to the community than this? So it's a big celebration today.
Couldn't agree more. And we are going to be revealing these house posts very shortly, so you're going to have to stay tuned, and we're going to show that later in the show. But first, you may have heard that the worldwide bee population is at risk, which is why one Salt Spring Island farmer is stepping up to do her part to help this. James Green has that story.
And now, a year and a bit after the completion of the store renovation, I look to this as the crowning achievement.
When we put up some artwork like this, like the Thrifty Foods has done, it shows the First Nations that are presence here, and it also helps for us as First Nations people to share some of our culture with the general public.
So there we have it. All 4 restored house posts have been completely revealed, and the stories are welcome there for the public. There's a whole crowd of people that have gathered to watch this unveiling, and a lot of people have even taken out their phones and have taken photos. And you know, with those smartphones, it seems like technology is at our fingertips nowadays, and one Victoria artist has decided to tap into that with an interactive art piece. We want to see the photos you upload to the robot, so when you do that, make sure you @ us on Instagram. We are Shaw TV Victoria. I'm joined with Charles Elliott, who is the master carver behind these 4 beautifully restored house posts. What is the process of restoring a house post?
Well, the process in restoring these house posts, they're called house posts, by the way, because they're helping to hold up the building. And the process that we used was the long, hard route, but the best route. And we shaved the surface of each pole down to brand new wood. And there's another way it could have been done, which would have been a chemical wash. But it wouldn't have been as bright and clear as they came out. And so we shaved the surface, and we even had to devise a special tool to do the job, because ordinary chisels and things didn't quite do it, and we ended up coming up with a new kind of a tool, which is sort of shaped like a hockey stick or an L, very sharp razor blade, and now we've got a tool specially designed for this sort of work.
Wow, You created a new tool and you want to do it right the first time, right? You
Yes,
don't want to go
yeah,
back and have to
no.
do another repair in about 5 years.
Sure.
What kind of wood are you working with here?
The kind of wood that we're working with here is the old growth red cedar. And I believe that each one of these trees is between 8 and 1,000 years old. And it's the most beautiful, some of the most beautiful wood I've ever worked with, and it came from the northern end of Vancouver Island. In '98 I had to go looking for wood to do this project, and I found wood in a dry land sort, which means the wood was laying on the ground and ready for its final trip to the mill. So I came along just in time to rescue this wood, and it was the wood that I used for this project. It's called old growth red cedar, approximately 1,000 years old. Yeah.
So you rescued the wood and now it's telling new stories here as newly restored house posts. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to tell the story of the beaver post right behind us here. And there's also going to be a story that talks about a program that gets youth cycling not only on the track, but on the road. Welcome back to Go Island. We're here telling the stories of 4 newly restored house posts, and I'm joined with the master carver, Charles Elliott. There's one beautiful post right behind us. This is the beaver, Charles. Can you tell us the story of this post?
The beaver is clutching a stick to show that it works on wood. And the beaver in our culture is very important because we realize the intelligence of the beaver. The beaver is so intelligent, and I don't think it's ever given its proper due by the general public because they seem to think they're a nuisance or whatever. But they can go and knock a tree down. They can transport the tree to a stream. They can build a dam. They can produce a little lake. And then out in the middle of the lake, they'll build a house that starts underwater, rises to the surface, and the only way to get into that house is through an underwater door. Once the dam is produced, the little lake is formed, other creatures will move in and share the resources of the little lake that's created. So they're very good community builders, and that's why this design was chosen, the beaver, because they're community builders, they're hard workers, and they're very intelligent, a lot like the Thrifty Foods ideas.
We're going to show you some more close-ups of these posts later in the show, but first, the West Shore Velodrome is teaching youth not only to cycle on track, but off track. Meg Cuthbert explains. Thanks for that story, Meg. And I'm joined with Roger Charlie, one of the other carvers who had a big involvement with these restoring these 4 house posts. Roger, what was one of your main jobs when it came to getting these posts up and looking brand spanking new?
My job was to refurbish and repaint the 2 poles on that end there.
What is it that you love about carving Coast Salish art?
Oh, Coast Salish art gives me a great feeling of accomplishment that I've carved something from my hands, and that I have a great teacher behind me. And I've also watched my grandparents do carvings too, mostly traditional, but Charles taught me beyond that. And I just enjoy carving, and I will do this for the rest of my life.
Well, great work. These posts look absolutely beautiful. We're going to go for a really quick break now, but stay with us because when we come back, we have another episode of Big Summer. If you want to see these newly restored house posts, you can come on down to the Central Saanich Thrifties. They are on display here. Thank you so much for tuning in to Go Island and sharing this moment with us. This is the end of our show now, so this is where we say goodbye. Before we do that, I think I'm going to try some traditional bannock. And while I do this, why not go online, tweet us, send us a Facebook message, or even send us an email. We love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. So good.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network. Men's Wardrobe by DG Bremner & Co. Menswear and accessories. Hair services provided by Salon J.